All right, here we go. We'll turn full blast and we'll try again here. See if that helps. All right, is that better? All right, welcome everyone to our 14th club meeting here. Our last meeting of October for Talents Discovered. And we have a special guest here today that we'll be introducing from Emmanuel Lutheran Church. So again, everyone, make sure your camera stays on and your microphone is muted. And we're going to start with an opening prayer. Pastor Phil, would you? Oh, I'm sorry. Jackson was going to pray. We're going to let Jackson take a shot at it.
All right. Dear God, thank you for all these teens and Pastor Phil for joining today. In the name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. All right, short and sweet. It's great.
Oh, Mia's here.
Oh, good. Mia's coming on.
Alice said that she can't. They didn't hear who had the wristbands. Like who?
Oh, yeah. We'll announce that again. But it was Carla had an orange wristband, and we have a few others if they come on board here. So again, this is our last session for the month of October in Talents Discovered TD. And again, if you invite one of your friends that graduated from Character GPS to join our club, you'll get an extra service hour. So that's always good. And again, we're practicing good learning, note-taking. So everyone should have either your one-page note-taking sheet or a piece of paper where you can write down this information on. And Pastor Phil will be telling us why learning is so important to your success in whatever you decide to do. So Diego's been taking great notes. You can see he's got the information filled in on the meeting number. So today is meeting number 14 on the 30th of October. So Diego, you've been using AI to help you with your note taking. Can you tell everyone just a little bit about what you're doing?
In the chat.
You're in the chat, yeah.
All right. So in terms of like AI, I have like some people like use this thing called Otter AI, and so like when I found out about it, I just felt like, oh, that might be useful. And then like throughout the meeting, I just use this chat feature in order to like explain me through the step by step.
So like in the chat, you can put in a keyword, and a question, and then AI, it's pretty accurate at picking up what we're covering. So that's a really good tool.
And I tried it. So you type the question in, you hit enter, and then you have to do something else, right?
I think it's like when you input the question and it just automatically like get the answer for you.
It kicks it out. Okay.
Try it out.
All right. I know Pastor Phil's good at technology too. So again, get all the information up at the top here, and then we'll be learning from Pastor Phil what his career choice was, how he got into that, how he got called to that, what it takes to be successful and in that, and again, how we all could prepare in that area if we were interested. And then we'll be finishing up our work on Talents Discovered with some facts and application, and then we'll have an action plan. So let's see, also, I know Diego's been taking good notes. Again, filling in the key information. You can see the form helps you find all the information that we're trying to get. You send it back to us then, and you get an extra service hour for being a good learner. And here's Jaden's. Jaden's been taking some good notes, and so has Jackson. So we're getting everyone's help. And then we are recording our club meetings and posting them on our Facebook and YouTube. So you can go back and pick it up if you need, again, to get some of the information to complete your notes and then send that in to us. All right, where's Jackson's? So here comes Jackson's notes. So again, so we're going to talk about the different experts we've had so far this month. It's kind of a lead in. So the beginning of October, we had Jackson's parents as teaching assistants. And then we had Mr. Steve Romanoff, a financial analyst. Remember, he said he was a pie maker, making pie charts. And then we had our friend, Mr. Jeff Hearn, a wealth manager. Again, all different callings. to use your talents, make a positive difference to help people in this world. And then last week was our friend Matthew Hoffman, a culinary chef. So all of those are experts that we've had so far this month. And so we're going to just ask you real quick a poll here. Which experts have been helpful or interesting to you this month? So you can pick any one of those, or number 5, if you think that they've all been helpful to you. We'll just kind of do a quick poll to see, because everyone has different interests. And we've got the fonts doing well, and Matthew, and looks like people have been really benefiting from all these different experts. And of course, we've saved the best for last here for our October. So look at that, 10 out of 12. Everything's been interesting and helpful. That's a really good sign. All right, so without any further ado, we're going to get our expert here today introduced. So we'll get our countdown from I'll get our format. We'll start off with our expert like we always do. And we'll talk about a famous person in that field. We'll talk about finishing up then our leadership topic on talents discovered. We'll hand out again our wristband recognition people that will get this at the luncheon. And then we'll talk about next month. So we want to thank Pastor Phil from Emmanuel Lutheran for coming to share his insights and inspiration, taking time out of his very busy schedule. So could everyone say hi to Pastor Phil? Thank you for coming, Pastor Phil. All right. So Pastor Phil, we know that you are actually multi-talented. Being a pastor, you wear many hats. And then we also know that you are really good at as a photographer, and then you've been using drones to take some amazing pictures from bird's eye view, right? So with all these talents, can you just kind of tell us, how did you become a pastor? How did you have a calling to this field?
Yep. So it started I was in 6th grade.
Wow.
And I was in church, and the pastor was preaching, and he stopped for a moment and he said, I want to talk to all the young people in the church right now. And I want you to consider whether God might be leading you to a career in church work, whether it be a
Wow.
pastor or there's other ways to serve as well in the church as a director of Christian education. There are deaconesses in the church, music directors in the church, youth
Right.
leaders in the church. So I listened to that and thought to myself, I'm never going to do that. And I went on didn't really know what I was going to do, but I was one of those uh, people that changed their major in college multiple times over, from
Wow.
pre-medicine to engineering to mathematics.
Wow.
Uh, but something when I was in college, for whatever reason, even though I had said I wasn't going to do that, I never forgot that sermon.
Yes.
I've heard thousands of sermons over the years, and you probably have forgotten most of what has been said in those sermons, but that one just kind of stuck with me, and I think it stuck with me for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I changed my major one more time and became a pre-seminary. I was
Wow.
in college, and yeah, so uh, went to college 4 years at Concordia University in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's
Yeah.
very
So.
cold there, and finished there, and then went to Concordia Seminary, which is in St. Louis, Missouri. And,
Wow.
was there for well, the seminary program is 3 years, and then a 1 year internship. So
Wow.
basically 8 years of schooling to
Wow. That's a
pass
lot of education.
after high school. Yeah.
So you have to be a good learner, and obviously you love to learn. I know you're very thirsty, kind of like a sponge soaking stuff up. And of course, you know the Bible inside and out. And
Hmm.
we remember your sermons, Pastor Phil. You even give us note-taking sheets to help
Yeah.
us remember. So, see, you're way ahead of the game there. But we remember last week you were talking about the ladders,
Ladder.
trying to have a ladder to kind of work your way to heaven. And the realization is there's no ladder tall enough, right?
Yep.
You have to go by faith. So if someone's called like you are, and again, we've had several experts that kind of worked in different areas because they have so many talents to kind of sort through where God was leading them. What would
Mhm.
you say are the real qualifications and the passion to want to, work in the church?
Yep. So, you gotta love people.
Yes,
That's important.
right,
So you don't necessarily have to be an extrovert.
right.
There are a lot of people that are introverts, but you definitely have to have compassion and care for people. So, a lot of you know, I've been able to be a part of some new ministries that have started. One of the ministries that I helped begin was called the Comfort Dog Ministry.
Oh,
And
Oh,
this was using therapy dogs to help people who are struggling through different issues, whether they're grieving the loss of a loved one or they are facing an illness. We've also gone to different places where there's been like a tragedy strike, a school shooting, or
yeah,
something bad in the community is really struggling, and help people out with that. And what happens a lot of times when we ask for volunteers to help serve in the ministry, we get a lot of people who love dogs.
yeah.
Well,
Animals,
and
right,
that's it's great, that people love dogs, but that may not necessarily be the right person for the Comfort Dog Ministry,
right.
because the Comfort Dog Ministry is not about the dogs, it's about
Yeah,
the people that we're serving.
yes, serving.
And so, really having, when people are struggling, when people are going through difficult times, do you care? Do you have a heart that hurts for them and with
Yes.
them together? That there's a saying that we want our hearts to break for the things that breaks God's heart.
Wow,
We
that is
want to
really great.
rejoice in the things that where God's heart rejoices. We also want to have a heart that rejoices.
Well, we've had several experts again this month, and they all said the same thing that they became good at what they were doing because they love to help people.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so, your obviously ministry is helping people with all the kind of challenges in life. Now, as you said, there's some different kinds of ways to help in the church. One of them is being a youth pastor. If you like working with kids, you can be a religion teacher if you like to, again, teach a God's wisdom. Um, Also, you could be a missionary. Did you ever do any missionary work?
Yeah, so I've been pastor in a local church. I have served at four different churches. I served at a church in Virginia, a church right outside Washington, D.C. I served at a church in Illinois outside of Chicago. And then prior to coming here to Florida, I was in a church in New Jersey outside of New York City. So served
Wow.
a lot of churches outside of three major cities in the United States, and now
Yeah.
here in Brandon and the Tampa area. So glad to be here. So I've worked mostly like within local churches. So in terms of like mission work, uh, my church in Illinois and in New Jersey, we were all, both of those churches, we partnered together with missionaries and ministries outside of the United States, and also inside the United States, that went to places where a lot of people often don't go.
Yes.
So some
Yeah.
of my most, I guess, what would I say, fulfilling work
Yes.
is, partnering together with some mission partners that we had in Haiti.
Yeah.
So I've been down to Haiti probably a dozen different times.
Wow.
And there it's widely recognized as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
Yes.
So there's a lot of great need for people that they don't know where their next meal is
Yeah.
to come, and a lot of medical issues as well, where things that we would typically go to a doctor for, they can't afford to go to a doctor, don't even have a doctor to go.
Yeah.
They could afford going to the doctor. What's more, we just saw many of you probably are aware of what happened in Jamaica the last
Yes. The
with
hurricane.
hurricane, and Haiti's right down there and has been hit with several hurricanes, and so there's an environmental disaster in so many ways there in that country. So we go and serve and help support the people who live there, who are Christian, to support their neighbors. So I was a
Wow.
part of a meal program where 90,000 kids were fed every single day.
That
And,
is great.
yeah, so that's just something that was fulfilling to be a part of. And one of our partners was he played for he was a quarterback. His name was Carson Wentz.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he played for the Philadelphia
Philadelphia.
Eagles. Now he's playing for the Minnesota Vikings, and he
Yeah.
was one of the partners, helped with the feeding food program, and also helped to even build a village in the country of Haiti. So
Wow.
one thing about being a pastor is it's a lot of collaboration and
Mhm.
working together with other people, whether it's in the local church or ministry partners.
It takes teamwork. I think we told you we went to Haiti and we taught 72 teachers, and I had half the group learning it in English and half of it in Creole French, and that
Mhm.
was quite an interesting experience. You're very good at entertaining and sometimes telling something funny. So, when I worked that in, half the class would laugh, and then 10 seconds later, when the translation went through, the other half of the class would laugh. So it was quite an interesting experience. So
Yeah.
we could serve. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had one instance where we were going to visit a church in Haiti, and we thought we were going to go there and just be a part of the congregation. And they show up, and it came time for the sermon, and they like, we want to introduce our guest preacher for today, Pastor Phil Ressler from the United States. I had no idea I was preaching.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to stand up there, and of course I don't speak Haitian Creole.
Yeah.
Uh, so I had one of the local pastors translate for me.
Yeah, that is quite an experience. So again, a lot of ways to serve in the church and help people. So for our kids that are learning to be again leaders and learning these biblical principles for success, what advice would you give that they could be maybe doing now to start preparing? If, like you had to kind of look at different possibilities, different careers to kind of sort out if they have a calling to serve in this kind of ministry.
Yeah, the number one thing that was valuable to me was just being a part of the church myself
Yes.
growing up. To
Yeah.
be active, in your church, attend worship, but don't just attend the church.
Right.
Find ways in which you can serve, that you can be involved. My twin boys, Thomas and Jacob. Jacob plays the drums in our praise team. Thomas, he works on the soundboard. So yeah, look for ways that you can use your gifts and talents to serve. If you're not sure, talk with the pastor of the church about it, or other church leaders, and ask them about how, things that you might be able to do to serve. When I was growing up, my mom was the church secretary.
Ah.
And I went to the school it was actually, I'm at Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Brandon now, but the church I grew up at was Emmanuel Lutheran in Belvedere, Illinois.
Wow. How about that?
And yeah, so she was the church secretary. I went to the school there, so a lot of times I would get done after school, but she would still have work to do in the office. So, in order for us to get home earlier, I would be put to work in the office doing, helping her fold the bulletins and other things.
Yeah. So you got to learn how to serve in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, served in a lot of ways, and got to know the pastors and the youth director, and
Yeah. To
they
be
were they served
mentored,
as really
coached.
they mentored me, and yeah.
That is great. Well, Carla has a question, so we're going to
Yes.
open it up to some questions that our amazing students always have an interest in learning about. So, Carla, would you like to ask Pastor Phil your first question?
Oh, what was your favorite church?
My
Uh,
favorite church, yeah, it's hard to, every church has been, unique. And God, there's a saying that God calls you for such a time as this. And I was at each individual church, for a purpose and a reason. But
Yeah.
I would say, one of the fascinating things was being in Washington, D.C. Area in Northern
Mhm.
Virginia. So, we were there during September 11th when the Pentagon was hit by the terrorists and the airplane.
Yeah.
So I had church members that were working at the Pentagon at the time. Fortunately, no one was injured or killed from my congregation. But we also, there was a lot of military people in that area, and we had members of our church who were military chaplains that worked at the
There
Pentagon.
you go. Yeah.
So we would meet with area pastors, and they would host the uh, circuit pastors. So I got to have one of the meetings in the Pentagon. And
Very
then,
cool.
another, our sister church had a U.S. senator. His name was Senator Burns. He served in Montana.
Mm,
He invited me and a couple other pastors to have lunch with him one day at the Senate office building in D.C. So
very
having a
cool.
bunch of U.S. senators. So
Yeah.
that was a neat place to be, Washington, D.C. while I was there.
Very good question. All right. That's great. Jackson, you had a question.
So, what do you like to do at Emmanuel?
What do I like to do at Emmanuel? Well, I'm doing a lot of different things at Emmanuel. We've got the school, so I teach in the school during the week, and of course, we're doing Sunday services. So I'm preaching every Sunday. I really enjoy teaching. There are different things that pastors do. So there's some pastors that are more of a chaplain where they visit people in the hospital, visit people who are maybe like shut in, where older people that are unable to go out of their homes. So the pastors will go and visit. So there's a chaplaincy ministry. Other pastors are teaching pastors. Other pastors are more administrative pastors. So it may be more running the church staff, organizing the different committees and boards of the church. So there's a lot of different roles and functions that you can do as a pastor. So not every pastor has the same role. Some churches have multiple pastors. So I've served as a sole pastor where I was the only pastor and I had to do everything. And then I've been at other ministries where I was an associate pastor, one of many pastors on a staff. I've also been a senior pastor, and I'm a senior pastor now where I have Pastor Miguel, who's our associate pastor of Hispanic ministries that works together with me. So, there's lots of different roles, but at Emmanuel, I think, my favorite thing to do is teaching.
Yeah, you're a great teacher. So, and I know that Jackson, you talk about serving, he's helping out with the Sunday school there. So
Yep.
he's getting to serve now, starting to get some experience at that. All right, so we've got
Some hands are raised.
yeah, we've got Diego and then Javen. Go ahead, Diego.
What will be some of your challenges as your role as a pastor?
Challenges as a role of pastor. You probably with a lot of different professions, sometimes there's not enough hours in the day, because there are, there's so many needs that are out there, so many people to help, so many things that you can be doing, but you can't do it everything. So, first of all, you need to, rely upon God for guidance to help direct you in what He would have you do. And then be willing to have the courage to say, I can't do it all. So, I'm going to have to say no to some things and trust God that He's going to find other people and the right people to do those things. One of the things as a pastor is that I've heard us saying that you're working yourself out of a job. And what I mean by that is ultimately, as a pastor, you don't want to be doing everything because you, as one person, can only do so much. But you want to delegate and equip and empower and help other people to be able to fulfill their callings and to be able to use their gifts in ministry. So, that's a big role of a pastor, is kind of to step back and kind of help and let other people fill in those gaps.
So again, delegating and letting people step up and share
Mhm.
the leadership using their different talents is again a great role. Very good. Javen, you got a question. What do you have for Pastor Phil?
How long in school to become a pastor?
Yeah,
Oh,
so that varies. It varies depending upon what church. I am a Lutheran pastor, and in our denomination, so you have like Baptist churches, Methodist churches. We're a Lutheran church. There's Pentecostal churches. In our church, it's 4 years of college. And then you have 3 years of seminary and a year of internship. So it's 8 years of schooling after high school to become a pastor. But even before I was officially ordained as a pastor, I was engaged in ministry and doing a lot
right.
of the things that pastors do. So it's not all school that you're doing during that time, but you're doing a lot of work in ministry. But each church is different. So say you go to a Baptist church, you'd have to ask the pastor at your church, what they did. So some pastors, they might go to simply just go to Bible college, and they're recognized as, it may be a 2 year program, a 3 year program, a 4 year program that they go to and are recognized as a pastor. So it all varies a lot by the church. Our church, the Lutheran church probably has, you're not going to go more than 8 years to become a pastor. That's pretty much the maximum that would be required.
But then once you're ordained, then it's on the job training, right? You're constantly learning for the rest of
Yeah,
your
constantly learning. So, you're always having to problem solve. The world is different today.
life.
I've been a pastor for 25 years.
Wow.
And when I became a pastor, there were cell phones, but not everyone had a cell phone. In fact, more people didn't have cell phones than had cell phones, and they were just these flip phones with a number pad. You didn't have the screens and the keyboards that you do now on the phones, and the internet really wasn't a thing. So the world's a lot different now than it was when I first became a pastor, and you need to learn to adapt to a lot of those changes because people change the way they communicate, the way that they
Yeah,
learn, and just the way that the way they prioritize things.
that's great. Very good question. And
They're always
Logan,
learning.
Logan Meza, what's your question?
Nope, I think it's me.
Uh,
Yep.
so out of the degrees that you did, what was the one that was the hardest?
Aha, your hardest degree that
Because
Yeah.
you
in
said you
preparation.
changed your major a couple times.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that was I didn't get any degrees. I started as a pre-med student. I switched to an engineering student. So I took some classes, but I never got a degree in any of those things.
Wow.
So I have a pre-seminary degree from Concordia St. Paul, which is a bachelor's degree, and it's in biblical languages. So I had to learn Greek and Hebrew, which is the languages of the Bible, and a theology degree. So those were my degrees in college. So probably the hardest, I would say, was those language degrees, learning Greek and especially Hebrew. Hebrew is a very hard language to learn because you read it backwards.
Yes,
Yeah.
right
The
to left.
alphabet is very different than the alphabet we use for the English language. And then after college, I got what was called a Master's of Divinity, and that's what I got from the seminary.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
seminary, you take everyone who went to the seminary, they basically got the same degree, Master's of Divinity. And there's four different types of theology that you study. So you study Bible theology. So you study, just learn the Bible. You study
Mhm.
systematic theology. So that's doctrine that you study.
Wow.
You
I
also,
got it. I'm in there.
All right, Logan.
All right, turn your
Yeah.
camera on, please.
yeah, You
Very
also
good.
studied historical theology, so that's
Yeah.
learning church history. So we just tomorrow is All Hallows Eve, and also which is sometimes referred to as Halloween, but as Lutherans we recognize it as Reformation Day when Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the Wittenberg church door. So it's a very historical day for the church, but we got to learn all about church history. And then the other
Oh
thing.
yeah, we just talked about that, the 95 thesis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's
That's
right.
the anniversary is tomorrow. October 31st, 1517 was when that happened. And then there's practical theology, and that was they taught you how to teach a class. I had to do student teaching. They taught us how to preach. They taught us how to do home visits. They taught us how to prepare worship services. So yeah, it's uh, again, being a pastor is there's a you got to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
It's a very
Lifelong learning. Good
yeah, it's
question.
lifelong learning,
Yeah.
and it's like things that I've come to do now is live stream. After COVID, learning to live stream our services. So I had to learn video and photography and audio for all of that.
Yeah, you're great at technology. Javen, do you have a follow-up question?
David?
What's the difference between a mega church and a local church?
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good
good.
question.
Yeah. So, a mega church is a local church. So uh, uh, there's small churches and there's big churches. So,
Yeah.
I served a church that had, worship less than 100 people. I've served a church that worshiped, 1,000 people. Uh,
Yeah.
and our church now serves worships about 250 people or so on a Sunday morning. Mega churches typically they'll worship you know 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people on a Sunday morning. And you also have some churches that are described as multi-site churches. So
Yes.
the church has you may have 50 people meeting in one location, and you have another 50 people meeting in a different location, and say maybe even 2,000 people meeting in yet another location. And say the pastor of that church may be preaching, and there's usually with a mega church you'll have multiple pastors on the staff.
Yeah.
So you'll have a pastor that's preaching at one of those locations, and then they'll have the live feed going to the other multi-site locations.
So in the United States, again, we have some big, medium-sized, small churches. I think the study was that a majority of churches in America are designated as small churches.
Mhm.
So it's not the numbers, it's
Yep.
about getting together in community. But I know in missionary work, because there's so few pastors out in some of these different countries, they use that technology, Pastor, you're talking about to reach a lot of people in remote areas. So there can be a lot of different reasons for that. So
Yep.
great question. And Pastor, you're a wealth of knowledge. We're very lucky to have your 25 years of experience. Does anyone else have a question? All right. Miss Debbie, you were eager to ask a question.
I remember that you told us that you did some prison ministry. Could you speak a few minutes about that, please?
Yeah, so we actually worked. A pastor I worked with. I was not regularly involved with it, but pastor that was a associate pastor together with me worked at a state penitentiary in Angola, Louisiana.
Hmm.
They described the prison as once the bloodiest prison in the United States, the most violent
Wow.
prison in the United States. And they say, well, it's still the bloodiest prison in the United States, but instead of the blood of violence, it's covered with the blood of Jesus.
Oh, that's a
Wow,
great
what a statement.
answer. And
And they had a new warden come in, and he started a seminary within
right.
the prison because the minimum sentence at Angola is 40 years.
Wow.
Wow.
So most like 80% of the inmates will die in the prison.
Wow.
And so they began a hospice ministry, which is caring for people who are in their
Yeah.
final days. They started training pastors in the prison. And
Wow.
So I was privileged to be able to go down with my coworker, the pastor that I worked with, and help teach at the seminary that was in the prison. But
Wow.
we were also involved with a post-prison ministry at our
Yeah.
local church in Illinois. And the post-prison ministry was trying to beat the rate of recidivism where when
Yes.
someone goes to prison and they are released from prison. I was actually just heard about this in my small group last night, where a relative of one of our small group members was released from prison, and within a month he found himself right back in prison.
Right. So they need to be discipled and integrated back in society, finding productive things to do.
We're trying to
Yeah,
do
Miss
Wednesday nights.
Miss Debbie and I, we're
Yeah.
working with the Polk
Wednesday.
Juvenile Detention Center.
It's a
So
real
same
need.
kind of thing with
Yeah.
that. Javen's got
Javen
one
has
last
some-
question. We've been very blessed with Pastor Phil's patience in answering all these great
Great.
questions. What do you have to ask there?
Mr. Jeff, why didn't you become a pastor?
Why didn't I?
Oh.
Well, that's a longer story because we're kind of in ministry. We partner with pastors of churches all over. And that's how we ended up at Emmanuel Lutheran, because we had partnered with other pastors at other Lutheran churches. So, but that's a longer story than we have today here. So there's a calling for all of us.
Yep. You can.
Yeah.
The thing is, God calls us all to serve in the church.
Yeah,
He doesn't call us all to be pastors.
that's
There you go.
right.
It says some he called to be apostles,
Yeah,
some he called to be evangelists,
Mhm.
some he called to be apostles, evangelists, prophets, some
hmm
he called to be teachers,
yeah,
and some he called to be pastors.
that's right.
He calls, we're a body, and a body has many different members. You have hands, you have feet, you have
Yeah.
eyes. They all do different things, but they're all part of the one body, and all of the different parts are important regardless of the function.
Well, that fits into exactly our theme here of talents
Yeah, that's
discovered,
right.
that everyone has different talents. So it's good that we're not all the same, right? We have different talents that we can then all help each other to work together. So how about a hand for Pastor Phil
Yay,
taking his
thank you
time
so
to be
much.
with us. Thank you for your service, for helping so many people. And so we're going to quickly then talk about another famous pastor. You've probably heard of Billy Graham. And Billy Graham, much like Pastor Phil, kind of had a different path in becoming a pastor, because he was born in Charlotte, North Carolina back in 1918, World War One. He was the oldest of four children working on a dairy farm. And at a young age, he loved to read books. His hero was Tarzan. And so he'd swing from trees and yell. And apparently that was great preparation to be a great preacher, because he could yell out those sermons pretty well without using microphones at times. But then he joined a church group, and he was told that he was just too worldly. And so at 16, he then kind of gave his faith, found that he realized from an evangelist that this was going to be his calling. And so he graduated from high school in 36. But when he went to Bob Jones College to study, his undergraduate, he found it too legalistic. And so the pastor there told him that he would never amount to more than being a poor country preacher. Can you imagine that kind of discouragement, right? That was kind of tough, but he persevered. He came down to Florida, right here in Tampa, in Temple Terrace. He attended the Florida Bible Institute, where he then did his undergraduate studies and gave his first sermon here in Florida. And then he received a calling on the 18th green at Temple Terrace, that he felt he was going to be a preacher, regardless of what other people said. He was going to persevere. And he was ordained then as a Southern Baptist in the clergy initially. He went up to Wheaton College in Illinois, and he actually studied anthropology. So a lot of different ways that we can learn about helping people. And then he wanted to be a chaplain during World War II. And so he had a radio program. And when he applied to be a chaplain, he was all of a sudden bedridden for 6 months. So that didn't work out for him. But he became the president of Northwestern Bible College in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that's where Pastor Phil was, up in those cold regions, right? He was the youngest president of that Bible college. And then he started his Billy Graham Crusades in 1947 in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and started going all over the country and eventually all around the world. And he was the president's pastor, so to speak. So every president since Truman all the way through Donald Trump until Billy Graham passed away. But he had written many books. He preached all over the world, just again, serving, as Pastor Phil said, until his death. And so our opportunity here is to find what your calling is, listening to all these different leaders and experts to use your talents in different ways. So every 4 club meetings, you earn another wristband. And today we have Carla earning her orange wristband. Yeah. And again, we'll be awarding these all at the luncheon on December 5th, while you have a delicious Cuban free lunch. So again, hoping you can make it there. But again, along with earning wristbands, you're earning community service. So again, if you're taking good notes here, send it back to us. You'll get another service hour. But we brag on our members. Membership has its privileges. So we will help you with jobs, scholarships, college applications. We know how to brag on people to have, advocate for you to pursue your callings in life. So we're on the 3rd step of our 7-step program with our talents discovered, applying again, being proactive, not reactive. So again, working on our 16 core values, again, of being a giver, encourager, as Pastor Phil is amazing in that area. Again, seeking excellence to do your best. And then again, respecting that people are different. And we want to encourage everyone with their giftedness. As Pastor Phil said, you want to help them all learn how to use their talents to make a difference. So again, remember, your brain is not fully developed till you're 25. So it's important to be coachable, to learn from others. So one of the things in Adventure 2, our having our can-do attitude, was solving problems. Pastor Phil said there's lots of problems to solve when you're serving in a church. And so being creative and listening, Holy Spirit guiding you, you can solve puzzles like that one there, but you got to be a good learner. So remember the 3 steps to learning, like catching a football, you got to receive it. You got to store it so that you can then use it, right? And that's a great way to remember that we are called to be learners throughout our whole life. So the key is the first step, paying attention. You guys are doing great. Learning how to pay attention each week in our clubs and taking good notes will help you, again, be the best way to retain the learning. And Pastor Phil gave us a lot of great information about his ministry. But we know that there's 2 methods to get things from your short-term memory that you receive when you're learning to store it permanently in your long-term memory. So drilling and practicing, like math tables, or doctors memorizing the body, all the parts of the body to help people. But most of us also learn by teaching. And when you teach, you make more neural connections every time you teach. So that's why Pastor Phil is such a smart person. He's been teaching for a long time, not just his 25 years as a pastor. So again, being a learner is about building good habits, right? Building a learning habit allows you to just automatically, say, hey, I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to focus. I'm going to be able then to say, how can I use my talents, not waste my talents, but build good habits. So again, note taking. So here's an example of Jackson's notes, filling in the format that we've been using. So again, today is our 14th club. And again, always on Thursdays. And our expert today, Pastor Phil Ressler, talking about the ministry work in the church and so many different ways to serve, right? So everyone gets called in different ways, but the key is to learn how to apply it. So one of the things that you learned in this toolkit is that everyone is priceless, right? So it's not just about money. You want to make a living, obviously, for your family and so on, but to realize when you're priceless, that means you're unique and can't be replaced. So God has a calling for every single one of you. And it's important to discover that. Miss Debbie discovered her great talent, first being a piano player, concert pianist, and then teaching it to other people, right? So she's amazing. We could listen to her all day. So the key then is learning that you have a special toolkit that you were born with that you use as your starting place, but then you can develop talents, just as Pastor Phil said. Not everyone's an extrovert, but you can build extrovert skills to work with other people. But knowing that you may be an introvert, so you need some quiet time to recharge your battery or spend time again reading your Bible. Those are all good things. So remember that we all have strengths and then we have areas to grow, which we can, if we work as a team, we can cover kind of each other's weaknesses. So our opportunity is to know yourself, know who God made you to be, and work from those strengths first. So we had you again doing an action plan, learning about your Myers-Briggs survey as one tool to kind of help you better understand your talents and the talents of others, right? So hopefully you did a little research on that. And then knowing your talents during the summer camps, you guys all did a hero in the mirror. And so again, Gia did a great job discovering her amazing talents, like being very loyal. She is a great friend to have. You need a friend. So being an encourager, right? Our characters on the inside, right? When we practice, though, build the habits, it becomes automatic that people then see it and they understand that we're the real deal. So again, why don't people all encourage? Sometimes people are afraid that they can't do it. They don't want to fail. But the key is to be coachable. So remember, we listened to a little segment from the Karate Kid who didn't think he was learning Kung Fu until Mr. Han pulled it all together for him. So out of our different talents discovered topics, which ones have been most helpful to you? So was it that you learned that you're priceless and the other people are priceless too? Or was it that identifying again your specific talents and knowing that because we're different, that's a good thing? Developing your talents, being coachable, and then identifying and being aware of other people's talents, how to encourage them, or again, maybe all these have been really helpful to you. So tell us which ones you think have been helpful to you. And it's looking like everyone is saying that a lot of this has been helpful. And we're certainly thankful for Pastor Phil taking his time today to kind of be the crescendo, the pulling it all together here to serve other people. So with that in mind, we want to say, okay, so how can you start again working on developing your talents and finding what your calling is? So again, we need to be active in that. Just like Pastor Phil took many different classes and everything, trying to kind of figure out what his calling was. So we want you to create an action plan to work on developing your talents. How can you get better at things that maybe you know you're good at, right? So people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan, right? So wrapping this up, write down an action plan, how you can develop one or more of your talents. So what will you do starting today? Have your parents look at your plan, have some accountability. Don't wait, don't procrastinate, start today. And the goal again is to free you from doubt by building your confidence. So write down your action plan and put together your notes. We want you to be able to look in the mirror and be proud of the leader that God made you to be. So again, the recording of this club meeting is will be out on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Miss Debbie will be getting that loaded up here later this evening. So guys, you're doing a great job.
Diego and Jackson wanted to say something.
Oh, okay. We have some closing comments. Just real quick before I do that. Next month, okay, so November is our V for Vision, right? So thinking about your goals, what do you want to be someday? Listening to all these different experts can give you some ideas, right? And of course, if you invite one of our GPS graduates, maybe they were in a summer camp with you, or you know that they took GPS at some time, if you invite them to join our club, then you get an extra service hour. So let's try. So who was it? Diego?
Diego.
Diego. Okay. Do you have a summary question for us here?
Okay, it's more related to like between of the volunteering service. Are you gonna try to send it back to me after you completed my hour?
Yes, every month we'll be sending you. So you send me your next sheet. I fill it out for your service hours and I send it to you. And then the next month, send me again another blank form. Some of you it's online and you just send me the link and I'll fill that in for you. So find out from your guidance counselor how we're going to track your service hours to get credit for that.
I think Diego sent us, we already did one sheet for
Yeah,
him.
we sent it back.
Send us a blank one.
Have a
Okay.
have a good weekend, everybody. Happy Halloween.
All right.
You
Thank you,
too.
Jackson. All right, guys. Great job. So keep working on developing your talents. Again, thank you, Pastor Phil,
Thank you, Pastor.
for taking time to encourage us all to be all that God made us to be. And guys, great job. So think about now next month. Think about your future. What is it that you might be interested in doing? You got a lot of great ideas from our experts so far. We'll have some more lined up for you for this next month. Our first one will be in the area of dentistry. So Logan's mom, who is an amazing dentist, probably the best in all of Florida, she's going to be giving us some insights into how she got involved in dentistry to use her talents and gifts. And mission work, yes, in Granada and so on. Okay, guys, great job.
Great job.
All right. Yeah, if you have any other questions, we'll stay on a few more minutes if you need to. Fill out your note-taking sheet, send it back to us, guys, and we'll give you more service hours for that. All right, God bless you guys. We're praying for all of you. We'll see you then next Thursday, next month. Right. Stay safe tomorrow, and we'll see you all. Take care.
Good job, everybody.
God bless you.
Bye. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Anyone else have a question? Carla.
Happy Halloween.
Okay. Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Carla, did you have a question for us? Is Carla still on? Did she hop off? Okay. Javen, you got another question?
Hey, Javen.
I never put in how do you prepare?
How do you prepare?
How do you prepare? So, yeah. So what he did was he encouraged everyone to volunteer, at your church, get involved, using your different talents. How can you make a difference by helping, getting used to serving, whether it's, administrative tasks or it's teaching or encouraging other people. Again, Jackson is helping out with his Sunday school. Right. But there's lots of different ways to just approach your pastor at your church or talk to your parents about it. And there's lots of ways to get involved. But also remember, you can be reading your Bible and praying every day, building that relationship, because you can hear God clear when you've got a good relationship with him. Okay. Jaden. All right. Any other questions? Jaden?
About the what of the action plan.
The what of the action plan. Okay. So the what is a talent that you're going to continue to work on developing. So like Jaden, you're a great STEM student, right? So like math and science. So that might be one of the places to start is, again, how can you further work on developing those talents? But you might do it by tutoring someone else. Because, when you teach other people, you get smarter, right? You're helping them, but you're helping yourself. So getting used to being a teacher by tutoring, helping others is a great way to start developing your talents. Javen, what else do you have a question?
What are the leadership principles?
So the leadership principle on talents discovered here was those 4 areas. Knowing that you're priceless means everyone else is priceless, right? So we don't bully, we don't discourage. Leaders are encouragers. And then knowing your talents, learning what your strengths are. Everyone has different strengths, so you got to be aware of that. And then, of course, being coachable, right? The Karate Kid, be respectful, learn from your parents, learn from your teachers, your pastors.
There's several answers.
Yeah. So there's several leadership principles, all for talents discovered. But the goal is develop your talents, right? Don't just let them sit on the wayside. Just like a muscle, you got to work your muscle. You got to work your talents. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Good job, guys. Good taking notes, and we'll look for those in our email or text messages. All right.
Carla must have just stepped away.
Okay. All right.
And that's AI.
Yep.
I don't know whose AI that is. Ava Van Navlen.
I know we've seen that
I know,
before.
but we don't know who's on.
We'll find out.
Move.
All right.
Um,
Wrapping up. Great meeting, and we'll post that.